Hello, one and all. Shockwave1138 here, and this time we're replying to Dave aka Kalelprime's Getting to Know a Transformers Fan, the Third Strike. I will be doing all 15 questions because I haven't done them before, so let's get started. Question 1. How long have you been a Transformers fan? I joined the fandom shortly, I would say late 2007. I did not see the movie when it came out because I didn't like Transformers at that time. Big blocky things that transformed without making head or tails of whatever was going on. Then in a class at high school, we watched the first Transformers film. I loved it. I think it was mainly the soundtrack that sold me on it. Go Steve Jablonsky. And ever since then I've been into Transformers, etc. And now, here I am. Question 2. What is your earliest memory of Transformers? Well, I just said that! Question 3. Who is your favorite Transformer of all time? Shockwave. G1, animated, whatever. Question 4. What is your most prized Transformers possession? I would have to say my purple animated Shockwave. Question 5. Where in the world do you come from/live? I live in a town called Canoe. It is in British Columbia, Canada, and if you haven't heard of it, I'm not surprised. Question 6. Outside of Transformers, what do you do with your life? Well, I've just finished doing some college. I was doing business classes, but they failed, so I'm not going to do that anymore. I will just be doing small jobs for now, and we'll see where that goes. Question 7. What is the origin of your YouTube screen name? Well, on the forums, I'm Shockwave1138. I tried that on YouTube, but it was already taken, so I have to be the Shockwave1138. Because apparently I am not the Shockwave1138. Question 8. Whose videos do you enjoy watching? Everybody's! I would say the ones I most enjoy watching would have to be Vangelis, and Pia does very good first look reviews. I've recently started watching Optibotimus as well, and generally whoever I tend to find. Question 9. Which Transformer is your holy grail? I tend to have a different one every time I wake up, so from day to day it changes drastically. I think the most consistent one would be G1 Shockwave though, but we all know how expensive and hard to get those are. Question 10. If you could transform into anything, what would it be? What would I transform into? A car, probably a muscle car. Some kind. I love muscle cars. I would have to say my favorite muscle car would be the 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle, be it sedan or station wagon. Although there was that one thread on Moonbase 2 talking about whichever car you first remember owning. And that would be it. In that case, it would be the American Motor Company Eagle, which is an epic station wagon, the first 4x4, and I love them. I would own one if it wasn't so old. Question 11. How close have you come to getting your holy grail? Well, I just announced it, so I've come about a minute closer. Question 12. What has been the best toy you have purchased over the last 12 months? Hard to say. I can narrow it down to 2. It would be either my purple animated Shockwave, or my Revenge of the Fallen Leader class Optimus Prime, because that is just amazing. Incredibly complex transformation, very fun. Very accurate as far as its transformation. And that is based purely on the toy. If we're looking at the character behind the toy, which is often what I base my purchases on, it would have to be the animated Shockwave. Question 13. What is for you the best piece of Transformers fiction ever? I would have to say I do like the live-action movie franchise. I love the animated show. Between the two, I would have to say animated. Question 14. Which Transformers continuity is your continuity and why? My continuity is the live-action movie continuity. It was the one continuity that actually convinced me to join the Transformers fandom. It's very hard to explain. I knew about Transformers, obviously. Who didn't? You see them on the shelves all the time, but I saw them, and I see the big blocky toys that turn into blocky vehicles. And being the fairly analytical person I am, I look at it, and I see, well, how is there an inside to the vehicle if that's his leg or that's his arm? And because those are his body parts, you can't be hollow in there. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to me. And then seeing the live-action movie, they did it quote-unquote real world, where everything just kind of blows up and comes back together as a robot. And that brought me over. Of course, this is because I actually never saw any alternators or Binaltechs or what have you in person before. I hadn't seen those because I'm in a small town that has like one store that sells Transformers. But I'm not even sure that if I had seen those, I would have been interested. The packaging was kind of bland, and at the time I was practically obsessed with Star Wars anyways. And then animated after I'd been brought into the fandom by the live action movie. Then now that I was more accepting to the not quite as real life physics and whatnot in the cartoon series, and being that animated was the first I'd seen in full, plus the more cartoony aspect to the show, it kind of made a little bit more sense to me, and now, after having seen animated, I'm a lot more accepting of the earlier series, the Unicron trilogy, Generation 1, etc. I'm still not a fan of the Beast series, although awesome series, everyone's told me. But for me, yeah, it has to be Truck Not Monkey. Sorry. Question 15. What, aside from Transformers, do you enjoy as a hobby, and why? Well, for, I would say, over half of my life so far, I've been completely obsessed with Star Wars. I have the DVDs. I've been watching the Clone Wars animated series recently, which is very awesome, and you should all go watch it. And I've collected some action figures, but I'm not doing that as much anymore because they're doing less of real looking figures and more of the Clone Wars figures. And while I will buy the characters that I love from the series in that look, I don't buy them as obsessively as I would the real looking ones. And of course, aside from that, the fact that my one store doesn't get them very much, or we don't have good distribution here in the mainland, anyways. So that kind of shortens that. I used to collect a lot of Lego, but I haven't been doing that as much anymore, and I'm starting to actually sell it off. I also collect model cars, built, not built, whatever. I like to collect them. I'm actually selling a few of them though because I'm short on money. And I do, of course, collect DVDs. Just movies I've seen, movies I maybe haven't seen but I'm interested in seeing, and in that idea. I also like Star Trek. More recently, but it's something I've gotten into a lot more, and I've been getting the movies on DVD. I've got a couple of models. I have the new Enterprise. I have the original Enterprise. Polar opposites! I have a couple of mini ones. I'd love to get lots more, but I can't actually afford to buy them. I also love to collect soundtracks, CD soundtracks. I love Hans Zimmer, and most of his associates, so-called associates. We have Steve Jablonsky, who I mentioned earlier. Transformers, woo! I also like Alan Silvestri. He's a very good composer. He did G.I. Joe, for example, Back to the Future. Been around for quite a while. I believe the first composer I was ever into was John Williams. He's very cool. Star Wars, yay! There's also a few bands I'm into, but I don't collect their CDs so much. I just get the CDs from the library and copy the tracks. The only CDs I actually collect are the soundtrack CDs. Of course, there's a lot I'm into. I just don't happen to collect them because financial shortages, lack of actual interest in the physical representations of said franchise. So if I had the means, I would have a lot more. But as it is, that's all I've got. So that's been Getting to Know a Transformers Fan, the Third Strike. And I'm going to be putting out a couple other videos. I hope, well, not videos. I don't have a video camera yet. Hopefully I'll get one soon. I'm still working on that. I'll be putting out a general interest question, which also happens to be a listener question for the WTF at TFW podcast. Yay! And there's a group that's been going on recently on Moonbase 2. I'm interested in getting into association with that, but I don't know if I actually have the time to do so, at least on a weekly basis. We'll see, I might, I don't know. Depends on how much I feel like editing. BTW, this is the first video I've edited, so it's really fun. I like it a lot. Hopefully it'll be as easy when I start doing video stuff. Who knows, it might be, it might not be. So that's Shockwave 1138's answers, and I look forward to hearing everybody else's. Talk to you next time.